Greetings and salutations and welcome to another edition of the YouTube channel. Too many plugins and Delta X-Ray. I'm your host Alex. Today we're gonna make a custom Linux distro. We're gonna make a Zorin OS 17.3 custom installation. This time we're gonna do it step by step so everybody can follow along. I'm gonna show that we don't have any repositories installed. We're going to go step by step through it. We're going to together download the file from Zorin OS, and then we're going to go step by step through it. And in the terminal, I'll show you also in the terminal, when you're installing like that in Cubic, we're going to get all the repositories, because I'm not adding any repositories. They come from Zorin OS and from the installation that we're going to use, that we're going to directly download from the Zorin OS website. So there's no shenanigans going on. People can go through the whole process. In the end, we'll show the MD5 checksum, and then people can even recreate it and probably even get exactly or almost exactly the same MD5 checksum, because if you would also have Cubic and you would download the same installer, if you step by step would install exactly the same applications and do exactly the same amount of sudo updates between it, you should in theory get exactly the same MD5 checksum. Anyway, this is just because of a viewer that thought it was very suspect of placing an ISO like this, and in a way he's right, and in a way it is good to think like that. You should always be very, very worried about what you download online. If you use a computer for any kind of online activity, payments, important documentation or anything like that, if you then want to be 100% sure that you have a legitimate untempered copy of a operating system and coming directly from the developers and being actualized and saved, then of course you should also get it always directly from the director. My ISOs, by the way, are not tampered with. Anybody who's into security or into Linux, they can, for me, check the ISO, and I want to listen from people's response. If the ISO is tampered with, as so people claim it, it's very easy to make an accusation like that online. That yeah, it's very suspect, and probably you have placed hacks in it. And it's a good way of thinking yourself like that, to be very careful with what you download and what you software that you get from third parties. You have to always also trust the developers themselves being honest also, so just not just the person who distributes it to you. And then even content being online and being distributed over servers also sometimes can get compromised, so it's sometimes not even the developer itself or the person who uploads or does something like that, because there are several pieces online when you publish stuff, when you download it, when you spread it over servers or stuff like that. Things could also in that chain get compromised. So it's always a little bit complicated, but if you get it from the original sources and you do MD5 checksums, you should be okay. But today we're going to go through the process. By the way, I invite everybody who's into Linux or into cyber security, please check the ISOs, and you can yourself check and see if there's anything modified on it. Everything, all my ISOs are uploaded. They are just the original ISOs coming from the original developers, and the only thing I do is with the terminal in Cubic. And Cubic, unless you add new repositories there, but if you don't add new repositories there, it will use the repositories from that come with the distribution. So you're just literally there taking from the repositories of the ISO and from the repositories directly of Zorin OS, that gets then also many things directly from Ubuntu and Lubuntu.com. So there's also several distros that get their repositories from the same sources. But that's where they all come from. So you don't need to worry about it. You can just install it and test it out. And please, anybody, instead of making accusations that the thing is suspect and hacked and stuff like that. It's good to be worried about that. But you make that accusation, but you don't back it up with anything. I mean, if you make accusations like that, you need to be a little bit. How do you call that? Having also a constructive argument and a constructive evidence also against that. It's a kind of damaging that you're immediately accusing me of hacking and of. That suspect and that I want to fool people and steal their private information or hand people hacks over, which are, by the way, federal crimes. People need to also, if you say that, then back it up with something also. But that's not what's being done. I'm being accused of something, but that person, besides the fact that I'm a YouTuber and I made an ISO, and I have, by the way, several videos where I'm going through the whole process of making ISOs, and after that people can download them in the description, and that's the ISO that I made in the video, where you can see that I didn't add any other repositories. I'm besides coming from official websites, from Telegram and from Brave, and from Ubuntu Studio, I'm not adding any third-party repository. So, you can, through the whole online process, see that what I'm doing is 100% legit. And I dare any Linux guru or any cybersecurity expert out there to please test my ISOs, and also then constructively prove that my ISOs are hacked or, compromised. But anyway, I understand the person's concern about that, and it's good to be concerned about that. It's only the way that you publish that and place that under my video, and all of a sudden makes me look like a suspicious hacker or something like that. And I'm just a normal bloke who is, by the way, not even good in hacking, And second of all, my interest is making contact for you people, and my interest is to share knowledge about music production and about operating systems, and about basically my channel is also orientated about giving people solutions to very cheaply or free get music production, operating systems, and stuff like that. Plugins and stuff like that. That I always look for free deals or. Limited time free offers, or just free plugins, free operating systems, and free DAWs and stuff like that. So, and that's my mission. My mission is not to hack or to fool people. So I dare anybody to then also prove that my so-called ISOs are hacked. Anyway, we're going to go here through the file system to show that there are no shenanigans going on over here. So we go to transfers, and transfers is, besides Thunderbird over here and Bitwit, it's in this moment empty. So there's nothing there. And we're going to go to documents, where I have some other stuff over here. And in documents, we're going to create then a new ISO over here. Here's a backup of some other ISOs I made already over here. But here we're going to create then, we're going to use documents as a file to, a file system to create the new ISO through Cubic. And here's where we're now going to download it to transfers. So we're going to go to Zorin OS, the official website over here. So we go again. I'll write it down for you people. It is Zorin OS. So it's http://zorin.com, where we take it from, the official website. So we're going to go over there. We're going to download Zorin. Not the pro version, but the core version. And there's also a light version, by the way, that light version. But I don't know if that one already is updated to 17. This one is 17, but I think this one is not 17.3. This is 17.0. This one doesn't have the Brave browser. They still have Firefox and Thunderbird in it. So we're not going to use this one, but this one is even lighter. So you can go really with a much emptier setup. But we're going to go with just the core edition, because this one has already the Brave browser by default, and debloated, basically. It's the Brave browser and debloated. So we're gonna use this one. We're gonna just download it directly. Okay, so we're in transfers. Here, Thunderbird TPM ISO, and we're gonna download it over here. And it's now over here downloading. So we go here now again to documents. It's now here downloading. So It's gonna appear in a moment, so no shenanigans going on over there. Yeah, for the rest, let us just download a little bit. We'll talk here a little bit about Ubuntu 22.01. Let's go here through the specs. KDE is this running over here. It's KDE Plasma 5.27.12. The version of Qt is 5.15.13.13. And it's based on Ubuntu 24.04.2 long-term service. Version of the platform is 5.115.0. That is what we are running over here. Now, this, of course, being a KDE Plasma, it's highly customizable. If people want to know how you can put this bar down over here in KDE Plasma, you can click on the bar over here. And let me see if that's going to work now. Enter in edit mode over here. If you do this, you can start editing your desktop. You can start changing everything around. You can put it on the top over here. You can put it on the side over here. You can completely create here. You can choose themes over here. You can configure immediately, of course, your screen and your wallpaper. And over here, you can just create elements and create yourself a whole start bar and stuff like that. So that's the thing of KDE. Now, KDE being a little bit bloated, in my opinion. I always find this a very strange way here of working. One of the most customizable distros out there. By the way, we have a Space Cadet pinball for Windows running over here. There's now a person who reverse engineered it and put it on Linux. It's actually quite funny to run the XP pinball machine on Linux, and it works really, really, really well. So this is what I have installed over here. It's the Brave browser. I have Telegram, Thunderbird Mail. Then got some games over here. Then in audio production, this is what we have here. We have Vidual Studio running over here. Ardour. LMMS mix, hydrogen we have over here. Then what do we have more? Traction waveform I have installed over here. Vital synthesizer I have installed. So yeah, I got everything basically running over here. Still the story being VST plugins, VST2, some work, some don't. VST3 most doesn't work, and even some really native Linux. VST plugins just don't work very well. I have here, of course, a lot of plugins that come from Ubuntu Studio, so you have hundreds of plugins already included here, so you can already just immediately work. But there's some third-party ones that I downloaded that are even Linux compatible that unfortunately don't work. I got the Wave Razor working. I got SoCal apps, Wavetable Synth working, no issue whatsoever. I got Abstractive working. Wave Razor I got working, and there was another synth that I got working also. You know, in that sense, some worked, some didn't. So there you go. Very, very stable, this one also. It's already out for some time. But yeah, it keeps on being for me one of my favorite. I have everything working over here. And by the way, running in Xorg, X11, not Wayland. You can also log in over here, Wayland. We have Pipewire running over here. So you have ALSA, Pulse Audio, of course, OSS, Open Sound System, and then we have a Pipewire working here also, so no issue whatsoever. Detects even all my outputs of my graphics card. That has have 6 mini display output, so it detects all of that. It detects my external mixing table, my DJ consoles, my MIDI keyboard, everything. It detected, no issue whatsoever. Only problem, some VSTs are still don't get working, but for the rest everything is really working 100%. Absolutely fantastic operating system. I myself, this is my favorite operating system, but honestly, I don't like KDE very much, so I don't like this layout over here. But I'm more used to it. It works really well. This is the best Ubuntu for me if it concerns production, music, visual, audio, and graphics. For me, this is the best one. But me myself, I don't like KDE Plasma very much. I don't like KDE in general. But Still, it keeps on being my best one for the stability, low latency kernel over here, and yeah, just a fantastic operating system. But myself, I'm not a KDE guy. You can also put another desktop environment on top of this XFCE or something, you know. But there you go. Highly customizable. This, so absolutely fantastic in that sense. Also, an issue if some people want to know if they want to install DAP files in Ubuntu Studio and they have difficulty with it, what you should do, you should then right click on it and you should open it with Discover. Discover is going to by itself look for the dependencies, and if it cannot find it, then it goes and looks for a snap pack or a flat pack, I think it is, that it looks for then. Yeah, for a flat pack it looks. So this one, it couldn't resolve the dependencies as a DAP package. But when I clicked on it and I used Discover, I could just install it, and then it just installed the same app but through Flatpak. So I got several things just working like that. So if your DAP is not working or has broken or failing dependencies, click right on it and open it with Discover, and then it will by itself search for the right version through Flatpak and the right dependencies. So there you go. Zorin OS is already done. You see it over here. It's in transfers. So we are done over here. You can see. Show you again. We just downloaded this. Go to the file system, and it's over there. So that's the one we're going to use for Cubic now. So let me close this. Let me close this also. And now we're going to use, I might need to eliminate this too. Now we're going to go to Cubic, and we're going to use that file, and we're going to go completely through it. I don't know if there was still like the original one in MD5 checksum actually. Let me just check that. Sorry about that. Let me just check. There's an, no, cancel. Is there an MD5 checksum also for download? Checksum is over here. So the core, this is the checksum over here, folks, of the original one. Okay? And this is the ISO we're gonna now use. Light Pro Load. Yeah, 17.3 core 64-bit. That's the one we're gonna use. Here's the original checksum. And of course, checksum is going to change in the end because we're going to create it. So we're going to go to documents, and this is where we're gonna create a new ISO with a Cubic. Okay, now we're going to go over here, and we're going to go to transfers. There's again Thunderbird Temp and Zorin OS Core 13. That's the one we're going to use. It's the one we just downloaded a couple of minutes ago. You see? 1423, we're now 1428. That's the one we're going to use. No shenanigans going on over there. Let me just put something over here. File name, this name we're going to change to... .3.3. That's already the third version I make of this. Let me see, 1, 2, 3. No, it's the fourth version I already make of this. So there you go. We keep this also over here. Let me see. Yeah, I just use this also. We changed this to 17. 17.3.4, and now we place this over here. That's going to be the file name. Okay, 64-bit. Okay, Audiovisual Studio 64-bit. Do we need to strike between that now? Like this. Oh, that's the file name. Okay, the directory we're going to write the new file to is over here. We don't need to volume ID. This is fine like this with a date. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, that's the one we're gonna use. So sorry about that. Yeah, we have a little bit slower system because I'm running in this moment from spinning Rust. So from a mechanical hard drive, so it's a little bit slower, and we're also recording at the same time. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit slower. This. By the way, this time I'm not gonna touch the kernel. In the other ones, I put the low latency kernel. This time I'm not gonna touch the kernel. I'm just gonna put the Studio Ubuntu Studio installer over there. And if somebody wants a low latency kernel, then what they can do then is just go to over here and use the Studio installer to install the low latency kernel. This one, Ubuntu Studio installer. If you use this, then you can install even extra audio, visual, and video production software, and also immediately the low latency driver from Ubuntu Studio. It's a little bit better to do that like this, because if you now start changing it, and you can have instabilities and stuff like that. So this is why we in this moment we're just gonna leave the original kernel there, and if you then after you install it, you can just run that little Studio installer application, and like that you get still the low latency kernel without. And you can even switch between them still. So without really changing the bootloaded kernel, then that could, if I put another one now, that could give potentially issues. So there you go. First, we're going to update the system. Of course, to mention to people, the repositories here are not the same as the repositories I have here in my computer, okay? So what I have over here of repositories are not the same in the terminal as this terminal. This is an independent virtual terminal, and this terminal has only the repositories of that ISO of Zorin OS and of Ubuntu that come with Zorin OS 17.3. Only those repositories from that ISO are available over here. So my repositories here are not available, that you understand. I have, by the way, only official Ubuntu Studio repositories in here, but besides Brave browser and Thunderbird and maybe one or two other Telegram that I used their third-party repository. But over here there are no third-party repositories. This comes all from Zorin OS, and that gets us from a back mirror from Ubuntu and Lubuntu. So this is all official you have over here, unless I would put here now a third-party repository to it, but that's not what we have done. We are completely clean over here. Okay, so let's start. Sudo opt. I'm going to first always do a sudo get update. By the way, the get you don't need to do anymore. I'm still old school. You can do today. You can do just sudo opt update. But I'm still used to the old Ubuntu Linux. Sorry, Debian. In Debian, I think it's still opt-get. In Debian, you have to put opt-get. So there you go. Okay, now we're going to go sudo opt-get, and then we're going to do an install. And I'm going to just go hardcore. I go VLC, we go Clementine, it's a nice reader that we're going to do dark table, GIMP, Inkscape. simple screen recorder. Let me see, what else do we want? You got the VLC already over there. LMMS. We're gonna do a Ardour. Hydrogen. Let me see, what else do I always want to have over here. We have Inkscape already, Darktable, Grid. My paint. Let me see what we can find over here still. Need the Caden Live. We need. Entangled and Dark Therapy. Entangle, and what was the other one? We got Entangle. Yeah, and you need also Raw Therapy. We'll start with these ones over here. That's gonna take a while. Want to go through this step by step so people can see that we are not fooling people around. This is going to be the end, the ISO that we're going to put under it in the description. When we finish this, we'll show the original checksum that was created after adding all these applications, because that's the only thing I do with these ISOs. I grab an original ISO, I add all these extra applications over there, programs in there, and sometimes in my other distros I put it another kernel over there that comes officially also. It's always from Ubuntu, the Studio, the low latency 5.15 low latency kernel, not the generic, but the low latency I always put over. I put both of them, the generic and the low latency kernel. By the way, if you want to add or take kernels, remember that you always need 2 kernels minimum. So and you could do something like you put the low latency as the boot kernel, and then you can put the generic one as a backup one. So if you ever have some boot issues also, then you can still jump or programs not working, then you can change still for kernels. So that's a good idea to do. Normally it's being delivered with the 6.8 kernel Zorin OS, and many other distros today are running the 6.8 kernel, but that's the normal kernel. The low latency kernel of Ubuntu Studio is the 5.15 kernel. So there you go. And that could, by the way, also with some newer applications and stuff, could also create problems. So it's better just to later use the Ubuntu Studio installer and install as a secondary kernel, and he uses that then as a boot kernel, but then you can still always jump back to the 6.8 if some newer applications or programs stop working. So there you go. Yeah, sorry, with being on an old hard drive, it's a little bit slower installing all of it. And by the way, you're on a fiber connection, so gigabit up, gigabit down, fiber, so internet connection here is really good. But now running spinning Rust and also recording, it's already a little bit of older hard drive even. So there you go. I have here also still an SSD in here, but I have there my Windows installation in this moment on, and I have here still in this PC 2 terabyte, 2 times 1 terabyte discs, and two 500 gigabyte discs, so half a terabyte discs in here. So I run here several operating systems. I got Windows 10 in Riot 1, so that's a mirror copy, 1-to-1. So both discs contain the same, and then the other disc is I have a 500 gigabytes of MX Linux, and I have one over here with Ubuntu Studio disk in here, and yeah, the other disk MX Linux, and the other discs I use also for fixing computers and doing all sorts of stuff like that. And when I'm like fixing computers and stuff like that, I like to more use Linux. So there you go. And also for my just normal everyday life use, I always run Linux over here. It's unless I go really gaming or doing DAW audio production or VST stuff, then of most of my paid plugins and programs, I'm forced to use Windows. So there you go. By the way, for you people who want to change kernels and stuff like that, it's many times very good to do that in the beginning of the installation. So if you have now your all clean installation, for example, of Zorin OS with all the packages over there, and you want to go to the low latency driver, then it's much better to do that in the beginning. You can of course always later shift a kernel, but many times it's a little bit better to do it in the beginning, and then afterwards you start installing your other packages. Unless you of course have a complete ISO with the original kernel over there, and you from there install it, and then immediately install the low latency driver, and then afterwards start installing your other applications and programs to not break anything, or run into dependency issues. Yeah, this is also taking a little bit because there's just you saw it. I installed there several programs at the same time, so it just takes a little bit. If you would by yourself just individually start downloading all these packages, you would probably be a couple of hours busy or something, And that's what I think the advantage of these ISOs like this is you got one ISO, and it's way quicker to install that than to be having an empty operating system like Zorin, and then spending a half a day or a day or sometimes even 2 days to manually start installing all these applications that you all the time want and need. And every time you install or recover your PC, you want to install most of the time the same things anyway. And then over time, maybe you start taking away or uninstalling a couple of apps and then installing a couple of more. But it saves you so much time. And it's also so nice. You can have a portable pen that you run around, and you have everything over there, and immediately run stuff, without being dependent on internet connection. And this is also a situation for people who have very bad internet or don't have internet at all, that you can have an installer where they have everything that, for production and office work and photo editing and video editing and streaming and recording, all just in one package, And that's a very that's a big advantage of having an installer like this, And also because you can take away stuff like Firefox now went woke and went how do you call that? They went capitalist basically, while they're all into anti-capitalist ideology. But that's another story. And then now they will start to want to sell your information to advertisers, sell your private information, everything that you upload, spy on you and stuff like that. You know. And with this also, you can just remove programs you don't want in the installer that are basically there, or programs you don't agree with anymore, like Firefox, and just to install third-party alternative mail client and a browser over there, and that you have then also immediately in your installer. You know, so you can, by the way, go really much more crazy. There's a way in Cubic here through the command line. You could basically, if you know your way around, you search a little bit. You could. I know that you can change the images and the text in the grub loader. So you can, and if you're really good with Linux and the terminal, you could basically create yourself a whole new OS, or use just a base OS, but to change the Grootloper, change the login screen, change the desktop, how do you call it, environment even, putting XFCE or something over there, and change the default wallpapers and all sorts of stuff like that. So you could even create an ISO like this for a school that have their own logo over there, and then with a login screen of the tech department over there or something, with photos and stuff like that, and give it even. If you want to give it that operating system, the name of the school or the name of the organization that you work or you're creating this ISO for. Being always Ubuntu based or Debian based in Cubic, but you could basically make yourself a complete custom installer and add and remove all sorts of applications and stuff like that. So. That is really cool. In the old times, you could do that with OpenSUSE. You had OpenSUSE Studio. There was a thing online where you could just create yourself a custom ISOs running on an OpenSUSE base. But then you could create even the installer. You could put your own logo there, your own pictures there, your own text there, and make yourself a completely custom installer with a new name for the desktop environment. Change all sorts of things on it. Unfortunately, that service is taken down, or it's now paid or something, but in the old times you could do that for free, and I've made several ISOs even for shops, for people that they could just install it in the computers of their shop, for the flower shop, and they have a beautiful login screen with the logo of the flower shop and a picture there of the front face of the shop with names over there. It's just really, really cool. You can Linux is so extremely customizable and tweakable. That is really incredible. Now, of course, because we are creating a custom desktop ISO, a custom installer. Of course, we have an issue with the fact that, of course, the file gets bigger. It takes a little bit longer installing. So, for example, Linux Mint or Zorin OS, the core edition probably is a 3 point between. Linux Mint is 2.6, I think, the LMDE edition. And the XFC is 2.8 or 2.9 gigabytes or something. And this one I think is 3.2 or something gigabytes. But you like this what we're doing now. You get an install that's almost 8 gigabytes. So imagine normally it takes 15 minutes to install Linux. This takes probably 30 to 45 minutes to install everything. But the advantage of that is that you install it and you have immediately all the applications that you would spend literally days to reinstall, and that takes a lot of work. So we have now all of this installed over here, but we need more stuff. So let me just take all of this away. See if he actually can install Cubic immediately like this. No, he can't. Okay. We're gonna do Audacity. That one is actually also one that we want. And then better Earth. Go first with these two. Okay, better bird he can't find. I don't know why, but he can't find it because it is in the repository of Zorin. It's probably I'm writing it wrong. So we got Audacity also for audio editing. Now, a program we're going to also install is Synaptic because Synaptic Package Manager, it's really nice to update stuff, to take away kernels, and also to fix broken dependencies. Sometimes that works really well. By the way, this error he always gives, this error, the run zsysd socket, no such file directory. Let me see actually if Telegram installs directly like this. Probably not. I think it's a Flatpak. No. It doesn't do that. Let me see, what else do we need over here? So we got now Audacity. Let me just go quickly through it. Media playback. With Clementine, we need Asunder, and we need this one. We need install CD Ripper, and we want zero. Oh, sorry. So then we have CD Ripper, a CD recording program, and a CD to MP3 Ripper. Asunder is a fantastic program because Asunder can really quickly rip your CDs to MP3 or to WAV or anything like that. And it immediately also looks for the meta tag and the names of the CD covers and the names of the tracks and the CDs. So you don't need to manually put that over there. Now we're going to just do a sudo update first, after all of this. Okay, let me see also. I'm just going to quickly go through this over to see if we don't forget something. We got blunders open, so but this one I'm going to get from repository OBS also. From an online repository. Yeah, if you want traction waveform or bitwidth, you have to just install it manually yourself. Let me see. Graphics design, you got Blender, Darktable, Entangled, Inkscape, Krita, MyPaint, Pixel. No, I don't need that one. Okay, so now we're gonna do a discover. Yeah, we're gonna go also first for Synaptic. That's the one we want also. Okay, and let me see. What was that other one I was just thinking about? We got Cubic over there, media player, internet that we have. It's already default. Look in the system if there's still something that we need. We're gonna first we do C matrix. Just a funny little thing. You get a matrix, a kind of a thing there on the Okay, first sudo update again. Oh, sorry. Okay, now we're gonna do sudo opt auto remove, and then we do Thunderbird and Firefox. Oh, seeing the error already over there. Okay. Let me, by the way, throw this out also. We don't need all of this garbage now. Let me just see still what we have over here. Something I'm still forgetting. I think we basically have everything. Okay, now we're gonna go to the repositories online. And we're gonna go here first to Telegram. I'm gonna get the repository for that. No. I think it's a Flatpak. So this one we need to put over here, and then you should install it. So now we install a Telegram. We're gonna go after it to the Brave browser. By the way, go here. It's still busy. So yeah, let's just let this just finish, and then we'll get here. Get Brave for Linux. And then we install this with one command over here, an sh command. I'm forgetting, I don't need to do this. I don't need to do this because Brave is already removed in Zorin OS 17.3, so we don't need that. Sorry about that. I'm so used to do this that that now I automatically go over there. Yeah. It's almost done this. Okay, now to make some new sorry about that. We're gonna first do a update. Always better to do some updates here and there after you install stuff. Really a good idea. Okay, we're gonna now install Cubic. This is a GitHub repository, so this is third party here. You also need to hope that this is the original developers. This was even included with Ubuntu for many years, but this is also again a kind of story where you need to trust the developers. But this is also a repository that's included in the original Ubuntu. So this is verified by Ubuntu. This GitHub repository over here. It's already for a couple of years not maintained anymore. This is why this could give here and there some issues. It gives you an operating system, an installer that basically gives you the opportunity to. Well, actually, you shouldn't be able to need to install anything. Yeah, maybe if you want to online listen to Spotify or something like that, then you need to still install that. Or there's some program or application that you use. I mean, Discord or something like that. Or Steam. But besides that, you should not be needing to install basically anything over here. We go now here to OBS. Get the latest and the greatest of OBS. You see all of this that I downloaded, Cubic and all of that. You just see that it comes all still from the Ubuntu repositories. So these are just developers that put their project on GitHub, but these are all included and verified. Both Cubic and OBS Studio and Telegram are just verified by Ubuntu, and it's the same repositories that are available in the Ubuntu software boutique, or when you install sudo apt install. Coming from the repositories of Zorin OS or of Ubuntu. So there you go. They wanted to get here, see if I can find here Better Bird. In my rig over here and KDE on Ubuntu 24.02.2, I could not install a Better Bird. I don't know why, but it didn't work. It is available over here. Better Bird. It's a flat pack. I tried it like this and it did not work. This with a big D, maybe that's the problem. I don't know. It could be. I mean, Linux is case sensitive. I don't think it's that. No. Cannot do it. Doesn't matter. What other kind of client we could use then? Kmail maybe. Yeah, that would be then. So I took a Thunderbird away, and we're gonna put a Kmail as another email client over there. So there you go. That's for some reason you need an independent email client. Then instead of Thunderbird, we have Kmail. The only one I still need to get is OpenShot. We don't have yet. Want the PPA over here. Just by the way, also the repositories that the developers have on Ubuntu. So this is the same official releases that were verified and being distributed by Ubuntu also. So there you go. Anybody still likes a Mahjong game? We install still a Mahjong game. Now we're gonna go also here to Mix still and get the latest version by adding this this PPA over here. Because many times Ubuntu, the normal ones, they come with very low, with very old versions of Mix. This is 2.5, so we go to Ubuntu 22.4 and we add this repository over here to get the latest version of Mix. So there you go. By the way, I'm going to do that also in this computer that I'm now running. The official developers also this, and it's also the same PPA that come in releases that contain that are cutting edge releases, bleeding edge that contain the latest and the greatest software. You should be able to get this one also. But in many repositories and many Ubuntu distributions, the mix version is very, very old. They include with it. So there you go. Okay. Man, I think that is a little bit it. I think we have now everything. I'm just going to go quickly here still a little bit to it if I still see something that could be like detrimental, and I'm already seeing it, and that is the Ubuntu Studio installer. That's the only one we still need. So you then have, even if you use that, you can install the low latency driver, the Ubuntu Studio wallpaper and menus, the low latency kernel, and also a lot of extra apps and plugins for music, video, audio, and video editing and music production. So there you go. That you can, after you install this, you can then just run that little app and then select what you want to extra install of Ubuntu Studio. So there you go. Let me get here the Ubuntu installer. It's just written like that. Okay. Never remember that. And if you want another, we want to run another desktop environment, you can just sudo up install XFCE4 or GNOME or whatever it is that you exactly want to install. But I never really advise doing that, because sometimes when you do that, certain things with screens and stuff like that can a little bit break, you know. Some functions or things are not in the right place anymore, or they break in certain applications. I don't know what it has to do with some QTA apps. Also depends which apps it is. Some work good with each other, other ones not. You know, so that's a little bit the problem with that. Okay, yeah, and that's more or less it. I'm gonna leave it over here, because now it has literally every app that I can quickly just think of already pre-installed. Yeah, maybe one that could be also still interesting for some people that like to do file sharing over Linux and Windows. We can still install FileZilla. I just roll quickly through this to see if there's something that I forgot. This one I think is already included. It's just quickly rolling through it, you know. We have already a CD recorder. Okay, then live we have create LMMS, we have Mix, we have OBS, we have OpenShot video editor, we have. Yeah, just quickly to run through this, and the rest of these apps, run the Ubuntu Studio installer, and you will have the rest of those apps also all installed. So Telegram we have, Thunderbird I removed, we have Kmail for that. Vital you have to install yourself separately. Yeah, and that's it. So we're gonna continue now. Do one more sudo update. I'm gonna, by the way, also do still an sudo auto remove. See if there's something still. So we saved a little bit space over there, almost 35. Sorry, 36.1 megabytes we just saved because I just updated to the latest version. As you saw, the older version that I in the beginning installed left 36 megabytes of space. So there you go. Anyway, we're gonna go next and we're gonna create it now. It's gonna take just a little bit. I'll be back in a second. Okay, over here it's gonna ask which things need to be automatically removed for standard install. It just selects already some things that are not necessary, so you can just go here next. Okay, so we have the 6.8.0 kernel. This is the original kernel that comes with Zorin OS. And then with this Ubuntu Studio installer, you can install the 5.15 low latency kernel over there to get lower latency in audio production and stuff like that. But for complete compatibility, and you can then in the group loader on boot up, you can even, if something goes wrong, still change kernel, or you can just in the terminal change kernel, or use Synaptic to change the kernel to go permanently to a 5.15, or if you have some broken programs don't work, jump back to 6.8 or run two kernels, 5.15 and 6.8 at the same time. We're going to continue over here. Compression always just leave normal. You get a larger size, gets faster installed. Lower size, that's higher compression, gets a smaller size, but it's slower installing because it needs to decompress more. So there you go. You know, bigger size installs faster, slower size installs slower, but it's higher compression. Therefore, it needs to be decompressed. Anyway, we're going to generate it. So it takes a little bit to compress the customized Linux file system. But like this, we went through the whole process all together. You can see the way this is being done was a clean downloaded ISO. There was nothing added over there. There's, by the way, here, and when you are in the virtual terminal, there's here a little thing you can add files. So you want to put some pictures there or something, or I forgot actually to mention that. In the virtual terminal, you can here still also add files, and then place them already also on the ISO. That when you have your ISO, you have there also some MP3s or some photos or some applications already also ready that you can then still install manually after you install the Linux. After you install this ISO on your computer, or you run it from a pen, you can then access there the files. Of course, as you put more files there, it becomes even bigger, you know. You're gonna then create a much larger ISO. So be careful for that. You should probably not put too many files over there to keep the installer also. But some simple things like small things like, for example, a wallpaper or something, that a couple of wallpapers that you would like already to immediately use after you installed that ISO with all your applications in that one ISO, which is really fast. Half an hour, 45 minutes, and you have everything completely installed with all the apps that you need. And maybe then you install manually still one or two afterwards. But then you have also already there your wallpapers or something, or maybe a little file, a file with the imports of your browser or something, for your browser settings. You can already include that also already over there. So there you go. And these are all small files, you talk about just a couple of wallpapers and HTML file for your favorites and your browser settings. be done very, very quickly to then recover your computer really, really quickly like that. You can already buy that little thing in the virtual terminal. You can add that and put it already on the desktop or somewhere there in the root folder of the ISO. And like this, we went through it step by step so people can see there are no shenanigans going on. There's, by the way, no way of you, without adding files over here, to manipulate this cubic program when you're creating this, or to add files or do anything with it. It's just impossible. Now, the way this is running now, to like in the background be still doing something with it, because it's completely in a virtual environment. It's completely in a sandbox. So there's nothing I can now here even go in my Linux file system and try to access that file system that it's creating over here, but you can't change anything on that. It's completely locked down and within a sandbox. So that nobody thinks that in the background here you could still be now injecting something in here or something, because maybe if you're like really a good hacker or something, I don't know, I mean, anything is possible, but it's really, really difficult to do that. So there you go, you guys went now completely through it. You can see it over here, through the whole process. You see where all the sources come from. The PPAs that I added there still, they come all from official developers, and they're the same PPAs that Ubuntu includes in the ISOs that they offer you, and many other distributions like Linux Mint. So, no foolery going on over here. And then anybody who wants to install it then can use in Windows Rufus or UNet Bootin, but I would go for Rufus. UNet Bootin, lately I didn't have the best experiences. So that's what I would do in Windows, and just create a USB pen, a startup pen. And then you can boot from there, or you can install from there. And in Linux, it's just the USB startup creator that you can find in any Linux distribution. You go to System, must be here some format. Yeah, this one. Create a USB image, a startup USB disk. That's the one you can use in any Linux distribution to then install this on a USB pen, and then afterwards you can boot from there by F11. in most computers, it's some computers is delete or F2 or escape, but in most computers F11, and then select the boot drive and then boot like that, and then you can or test it first, run it from the pen and just test it, or run it immediately install it, or first run it from the pen, test it, and then install it. That's up to you. Now, for people who don't know this, it happened already several times that Linux distributions, Linux is duct taped together. So many little software, little libs, little how do you call that, parts that they take from other open source software, and all of that is just duct taped together. And what you get is also from many different repositories. It comes from GitHub and stuff like that. So what even already happened several times, that there were official Linux distributions that include a lot of software packages and PPAs and all sorts of stuff in there that they themselves by accident also distributed a part of an application, or a part of the OS was compromised. And because it's the open source community, and we use and borrow all pieces of software from each other to make things work, and scripts and all sorts of stuff like that, and PPAs, that come from all sorts of different developers, and sometimes within the chain, and that's not even sometimes the original developer, but somewhere in the chain where he grabbed another piece of software to make it all work, and that comes then officially in the repository of Ubuntu. Something got compromised, so even that can happen. It doesn't happen a lot, but it happens. And several times already things like that popped up, where all of a sudden the great vulnerabilities were purposely introduced, by the way. There's also ones already that there were vulnerabilities, but they were just an accident, just a bad programming or something. But it happened several times that there were purposely inserted exploits and stuff like that, in applications or distributions of Linux, and sometimes it's really difficult where within the supply chain and where all the software goes and comes from, to determine who was really the person who injected that malicious code in there, or that exploit, So that's always like very, very, very complicated also, But by the way, even in Windows already, there were also vulnerabilities and hacks discovered in officially distributed software by Microsoft or by third-party developers. So there you go. Now the rest now are gonna be quickly. And I want to go really through this step by step, that people also can learn how to do it yourself. You should do this yourself, I mean, this video is also for that. It's not for people just to download it. It's the thing for downloading for people is for people who don't feel like doing it, or don't know how to do with it, or have very a crappy internet connection or something, and want to just have one installer and one disk where they can keep on installing and recover their computer and install it in many other computers, and like that, or maybe don't have also knowledge in which kind of applications for audio and video production and stuff they should go for, and like this, they just have a whole thing they can experiment and have something straight out of the box, and also very easy to very quickly install, and also spend a lot less time, and also in locations where you don't have internet, or very, very bad internet, can be very, very, very favorable. But do it yourself. It's really not difficult. Get a Linux distribution. You saw where you can get Cubic, how you can put it in the command line and add Cubic, and create your own installer like that. And you can even go farther and search how you can in the terminal change the wallpaper and change the grub loader. I saw a good article. Somebody was explaining how you can customize the grub loader with your own images and your own text in there and stuff, So you can make completely a customized Linux distro. And the idea of these videos all the time and talking me about Linux and Linux in general is for you to tinker, is for you to yourself also do this kind of stuff, try it yourself, see if you can do it, By the way, I want to say that also, it comes afterwards here MD5 checksum. Now, I don't understand exactly how MD5 checksums work, but I assume that if you would take Zorin OS 17.3 and use Cubic and install exactly the same stuff that I have installed and also do the same updates between it that I was all the time doing, very, very, very important, you should, I think, get even the same MD5 checksum. If nothing is altered in the code, you know. So in theory, you should be able to reproduce this, but you have to follow every step. You cannot forget one update between it that I did. But if you do that, in theory, you should get unless your download is also good as the original file. If there's not a corruption in one of the sudo ops when it's downloaded, there's maybe a byte there that got wrong downloaded, then the checksum could still be different. But if all the downloads would be good and equal to the downloads that I have done, there was no corruption in the internet connection or something, you know, a little jitter, then you should, if as far as I understood it, you should be able to create exactly the same MD5 checksum error in the end. But don't count me on that. That I'm sure about that, but I'm not sure about that. Takes always a little bit, but like this, we go through the whole process, and people can themselves see how you do this, and they can also see that this is not tampered with. And the MD5 checksum that is then in my Google Drive is cannot be afterwards also tampered with, because that's the whole point of the MD5 checksum. You're going to get then the ISO in the Google Drive and the MD5 checksum. And by the way, Zorin OS by itself, when you start the USB pen, when you start the ISO, you'll see that it itself does the MD5 checksum, and it checks if it is correct to the MD5 checksum that is included with it, so that nothing is tampered over there. So there you go. Many distros don't do that, by the way, but Zorin OS does that. It by itself looks for the MD5 checksum, and you can cancel that with escape, but always when you start from the USB pen or from the ISO, it will do the MD5 checksum error. And if something is tampered with, or there is a bit or a byte flipped, then it will give it will fail the test and say that the MD5 checksum failed. Can also be corruption, or if your pen is corrupt, or you had an error in transferring it to creating the USB pen, and there was a little jitter or an electricity spike. You could also have that there's a little bit there, or something is corrupt, or something, you know, or maybe in Windows when you were creating the pen and there was a virus there or something, and it, you know, corrupted something. That could be, but otherwise the MD5 checksum should perform without any errors. And you can't tamper with that. I didn't got even too big, actually. The total size of all files is 7.05. The other ones I made before, they were way, way, way bigger. But that's also probably because Brave is already here included. So I made it actually smaller than the other time, which is always a good thing. I hope that I didn't forget any programs, but no, I didn't. I don't think I did. Okay, so now it's finished over here. The checksum is created. We're gonna call here the checksum. That's 9E, a small e, 6096661, small b2, 4, small cb, 6fd, it's all small, 3d, 4525, ded, 7b, 66764. So it is all small letters. It's 9 Echo 60966 1 Bravo 24 Charlie Bravo 6 Foxtrot Delta 3 Delta 4525 Delta X-ray Delta 7 Bravo 66764. That's the checksum. And it's a complete checksum. You can delete the project files here except the generated disk image and the corresponding checksum, because otherwise it keeps there a backup of the configuration, how it was trying to create it, and it keeps lots of space. So always remove this afterwards from your project. Then the ISO and the MD5 checksum stay there, but the rest gets all deleted. That's, by the way, also in some virtual environment, so you can't even read, write, or access it. It's completely locked down, that. So not even if you do a chmod 777, you can access those files. So they're really in a sandbox and they're locked down. So you cannot during or afterwards modify those files. So there you go. We're going to test it now. Yeah, my virtual thing didn't work. Sorry, I need to click again. And now clicked again because the keyboard wasn't connecting virtually to the thing. I pushed enter, but it wasn't going. But I just wait a little bit and hope that it starts. Yeah, now it's going. Sorry about that. I didn't click. Well, I clicked on the keyboard, but it wasn't reacting on the virtual environment. QEMU. See, here's it doing. The MD5 checksum is doing over here. You see? He's doing over here. Checking MD5 checksum. And he's now going to check that to the MD5 checksum that Cubic has created. And if anything is corrupt in there or different now all of a sudden, then it will fail. By the way, we're now running here 2013 AMD system, the old AMD system over here to do all of this, and running on spinning Rust, not on an SSD. This is why it's all taking a little bit longer. Sorry about that, but like this, at least we went through the whole process. People can see nothing was tampered with. This was the whole thing from beginning to the end. Original disk, original checksum, the whole process of Cubic, and you could follow it step by step. And or any Linux or cybersecurity person out there, no errors found. So can go through this and check it for any kind of hoaxes or any kind of malicious stuff, because there's nothing malicious about this, because you saw here how we went through it from the beginning to the end. Always a little bit slow on on a virtual environment like this, booting up, and also because we're running from from an old hard drive that's suffering in this moment. It's recording. It's doing cubic. It's having still web pages open. And it's working, and it's running a virtual environment over here, a virtual box. That's also not what I installed actually, but virtual box is, most people don't really use that, you know. That's one thing I actually wanted to still install, but then I was thinking, nah, never mind. It's just, yeah, not so many people experiment with operating systems, so I don't think it's worth it. But anybody who wants it can afterwards still install a virtual box. I many times have it installed, but you know, to test ISOs and stuff like that. If I don't want to completely install a distro, then I just quickly test it in VirtualBox. But for most people, it's not necessary. And when you have Cubic over here, you can just in the end test your ISO like you see here anyway, using a QEMU, which is also sort of a VirtualBox kind of thing. And that just works perfectly also. So even me, I don't really use so many times VirtualBox. But it can be handy. Also, if you just want to like... create a virtual drive or something for some emulation, and sometimes can also be nice. Or you want to install a Windows game and doesn't want to open or doesn't want to do nothing. Sometimes you can use VirtualBox to hook it up as a virtual drive, basically. So, but here it is. Let me, by the way, put this bigger. Sorry about that. Of course, it's going to be a little bit laggy, but internet. So what do we have over here? The Brave browser. Then we have a Caden Mail. So I removed also Thunderbird. By the way, immediately I hate this. I want to always hear the dark theme. I really don't like light themes. I hate it. Oh. I didn't want to open that. I wanted to open appearance. Yeah, sorry, I cannot stand. I cannot stand light teams. I hate them with a passion. So, but we have everything over here. Let me see. We go here first to a system. So we have Cubic installed as we wanted. We have Synaptic installed as we wanted. Then what else do we have over here? Yeah, that's exactly what we wanted. Then tools. Oh, sorry. We have graphics. We have Blender, Darktable, Entangled, Inkscape, Krita, MyPaint, Raw Therapy, GIMP Shop. And on the internet, we saw already games. We have Mahjong over here, installed for a joke. Studio controls to control Ubuntu Studio productivity. Then you have Keymail also over there. Productivity. Oh, sorry, we got that already. Sound. You have Ardour, Asunder, Audacity, Brasero. Clementine, really nice jukebox player, really cool. I love this player. Hydrogen, we have Caden Live that we installed. LMMS, Mix, OBS Studio, OpenShot Video Editor. We have Simple Screen Recorder I installed via VLC Player. And let me see, by the way, did we also had OBS or not? Yeah, we have OBS also. Yeah, so everything just installed, no issue whatsoever. Yeah, fantastic. So there you go, folks. It's completely working. Then you can still, if you want to install VirtualBox, Discord, or Spotify, or anything, or Steam, or anything that you still for your video games or for your online music or something like that. But in general, we have everything over here, and we don't have any Thunderbird Mozilla stuff anymore. That's now gone. Now Kmail. And the Brave browser comes already default. We have FileZilla here also, by the way, so you can transfer files. Download and upload files through FTP, FTPS, and SFTP. Also really handy if you want to transfer files between computers or something, or a home server, or something like that, you know, a NAS, you know, anything like that. So anyway, I'm going to disconnect this. Sorry about this. I'm going to disconnect it. Okay, it's done. Here's the checksum again. You can find it down in the description below. You can find this ISO. Do with it whatever you want, or create yourself a new ISO. You have seen how you can do it with any Linux distribution and Cubic. I hope this is a little bit useful for anybody who wants to create himself custom Linux distros, or just wants to have something straight out of the back of the box. Here you follow from the beginning to the end, so nothing is tampered with. Download is in the description. On the channel Too Many Plugins. If you're on the channel Delta X-Ray or Plugin Police, you have to go to my channel Too Many Plugins, and there you find the same video, and in that description you can directly from my Google Drive download the ISO for Zorin OS 17.3 and the MD5 checksum are both down in the description of the video. There you can download, you can test it yourself. Try it out. Zorin will by itself check the MD5 checksum. And you can see here that nothing was tampered with. So, link is down in the description of the YouTube channel Too Many Plugins. Find the same video and download the installer and the MD5 checksum to do with it whatever you want. And I dare anybody to test for so-called hacks or exploits, or that this software is modified or compromised in any way. Anyway, I always love criticism, even if it's not the most constructive one, but it's good. I like his spirit still. I like that he's careful, and I like that he is paranoid about things like that. You should be also. Only the way that you bring it and what you then write down, can be a little bit damaging for my channel. But that's just a part of it. I don't take it wrong, by the way, at all. On the contrary, and I'm not cancel culture person. On the contrary, I respect both positive and negative criticism, and I appreciate everybody's input, both positive and negative. And like this, we can go together through it. And now I went completely through it, that you can see that this is not tampered with, and like this. And hopefully people also just learn something from this, how they can do this themselves, because that's the idea of this video. You should do it yourself, And but by the way, I also always learn from you guys. So anything you have to share, or information or knowledge, or mistake that I make, please call me out for it, and come with a constructive argument, and then we can always have a nice and constructive discussion or criticism, or also positive things to each other, and encourage each other for the project we are doing. This is all. My channel is not monetized. I don't receive any money of clicks. I don't have any how do you call that, connections. I don't receive any money from any sponsors, or I'm completely impartial. I don't receive money for clicks, not from YouTube, not from anybody. I'm not influenced by third parties or by companies. My channel is non-monetized, and I do this only for hopefully helping other people, and also for my own pleasure. And my channels also, I never ask for clicks, I never ask for likes, and I never ask for subscriptions. My channel is not about that. My channel, the people who come here, it doesn't matter if it's a small group or a big group, hopefully enjoy a little bit what they see, and understand that this is a very simple channel where we are not biased or compromised by companies who pay us money for how do you call that, changing people's opinion. I'm an influencer, but I'm not an influencer pushed by government. So I'm completely independent, and I'm not pushed by governments or by companies that pay me money, or by agendas. So there you go. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you all for your comments, and hope to catch you very soon again in the next video. And as always, stay safe, take care, and I will catch you in the next video. Cheers, and catch you next time.